Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your man, the Grass Ninja. We are breaking down chapter 72. We're going to start with the ending of the chapter, so that final portion of the chapter where we go over Code and what he's doing to the Ten Tails. Then we'll handle the whole portion with Ida and Damon coming to Konoha with Amado, and all of that stuff with Kawaki getting the breakdown. The very beginning portions of the chapters will be done next in another video coming out later, and then we'll handle all of Boruto's interactions with Momoshiki after that. So this is going to be a 3-part breakdown of chapter 72, starting with Code manipulating the Ten Tails, creating soldiers out of the Ten Tails, basically setting himself up to walk down that Obito path where you manipulate the Ten Tails, you take it into battle, and then the next step is seal it into yourself and possibly have a new Ten Tails Jinchuriki all by the end of it. So let's see how this chapter went in the final portions of the chapter. Alright, so basically we're starting off with Code and Bug entering that dimension where the Ten Tails is housed, right? So they pass through some claw marks and they end up in that dimension. We see the Otsutsuki panels that we love talking about, and we see the Ten Tails, right? Now Code and Bug, they do end up having some back and forth about how Damon washed Code in battle, and then he got kicked out of his own alliance, and basically Bug is just surprised that Code can seem so calm in this certain moment in time after all the ass kicking he's been taking. And Code, comedically or nonchalantly basically says hey man, try to be more sympathetic. I'm going through a heartbreak of my own right now. Ida just dumped me pretty much. So they had a funny little back and forth, and this kind of sets me up with the whole Code thing where Code doesn't act like your stereotypical arch villain where he's I'll do anything in my power to destroy those I need to destroy or to take over the world, right? He has his own little swagger, his own little personality that carries through, which feels kind of contrast to his goal, which is devour everyone in the world with the god tree and then eat the god fruit, right? Now, they're in front of the Ten Tails, which is the seedling, which sprouts a god tree, which blossoms into the god fruit, right? They are actually about to manipulate the Ten Tails, but here's the thing. Before that happens, they say something super interesting that it's like a blink and you'll miss it moment, where Code explains that the only way to access this current location where the Ten Tails is with space-time ninjutsu, right? And the only exception to that rule is the fact that Code has claw marks established in this dimension, so he can now travel there too. So he can use his claw mark ability to travel into other dimensions as long as they're already established claw marks there, right? Since he's there and the only other way to get there is with space-time ninjutsu, he's basically look, Sasuke can't follow us here or find us here, so we don't have to worry about him. But Boruto and Kawaki are now full-on Otsutsuki. So before we had confirmation, right? Boruto is 100% complete original Otsutsuki, yeah? Code is telling us now even Kawaki is full-on Otsutsuki, okay? So we don't have any other confirmation to confirm Kawaki's at 100%, but I mean, Code just said him and Boruto are full Otsutsukis. So if resonance is a thing that we need to factor in, right? And Boruto's at 100%, and Kawaki has his karma again, it is possible that Kawaki's karma rushed itself to 100% in the days or in the time frame that has passed since he last fought Kawaki, right? Now, I just find that so crazy. Boruto and Kawaki are both 100% right now. I used to have debates in my mind where it was well, Kawaki's still at 80%, so maybe they're a little more even, or they're both full-on Otsutsuki, they're both using the dojutsu abilities and everything, so a lot of crazy shit's gonna go down. But the reason why that's so interesting is because he says, since they're full-on Otsutsuki, it's only a matter of time before they master space-time ninjutsu, and then they can discover this place. So there's actually a huge rush in his mind. There's a huge sense of urgency that they need to move the Ten Tails. It's no longer safe in this location, right? So his plan to move the Ten Tails is to basically adjust its size. He plans on shrinking it down. He needs to make it smaller and more useful, which is the title of this chapter, right? So as he does that, or his method of doing that, is by basically he plants like the claw marks on him. He basically scratches the Ten Tails. The claw marks appear, and then now he can manipulate the claw marks to wrap themselves around the entire Ten Tails. So he literally says, the restored version of me can create enough claw marks so that he can completely enwrap the Ten Tails, right? Previously, before, his claw marks had limitations. He couldn't make as many as he wanted to. He couldn't have them just sit there and wait, have them just wait it out forever. Like, they had a time limit for how long they would last in certain places. And then he also explains how the claw marks are formed. Now, this is interesting. He explains that, because we already know his claw marks are a composite. Kawaki explained this to us. But he goes on to explain that the claw marks are half his chakra and half physical matter, right? Now, keep that in mind, right? Because if his claw marks are a composite of half him, half his physical entity, and half of his chakra, right? When he wraps them around the Ten Tails and he uses it to condense and shrink the Ten Tails chakra, right, is the Ten Tails itself, right? It's also, like, you can also think of it as something that is 50% physical matter, 50% chakra, because he says the Jubi, right, by nature is just a giant lump of chakra. So its physical form is its chakra, right? Because he is just a physical embodiment of chakra, just like the claw marks. So I think it's interesting that he made that connection with his claw marks and how the Ten Tails exists, right? We don't, like, if we know Sukuna Hikona, Kawaki's dojutsu ability, cannot shrink living matter other than himself, he wouldn't be able to shrink the Ten Tails into a small little thing, because the Ten Tails is technically a living entity. He's just also pure chakra. So this 50-50 relationship between the claw marks and the Ten Tails, it's like there's a synergy between them, and now Code is able to sync himself and those ten-tailed creatures that spawned out of his claw marks together. Now he can control this army of ten-tail foot soldiers, these little seedlings, these little sproutlings that fell off of the Ten Tails, literally turn into humanoid creatures that are covered in the black claw marks, right? Now, this wouldn't be a big threat, right? We've seen the Shippuden era of Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Rock Lee, the Konoha 13. We've seen them handle ten-tailed foot soldiers before. Like, if anything, summoning jutsu, do another three-way deadlock, and have a rampage outside of Konoha against these guys. Now the problem is Code can command and control these creatures, and they can use or travel through Code's claw marks, right? Since they are embodiments of the Ten Tails and Code's physical body, they can use Code's claw marks without Code having to physically grab and pull them through. They count as Code. They can travel through the claw marks. Now we have an army of these ten-tailed creatures that can use the claw mark technology and are probably a lot stronger than the ones they fought before, building up and getting ready to invade Konoha. Because we know his goal is to kill everybody that is on his list, and all those people are in Konoha right now, right? So, Code, his new army, their new ability, they're setting out, right? We have a huge problem because Code is nonchalant. He's like, bro, I'm powerful. I'm more powerful. Now I can manipulate the Ten Tails. I can create a smaller, more useful version of the Ten Tails. This is step one, people, okay? Like, we saw Obito do this. This is literally a shot-for-shot comparison of what Obito did to fight the allied shinobi forces. Have the Ten Tails break off into smaller entities so it can destroy the small entities, right? Now Code is doing that. What did Obito do after that? Like, shortly after that, he sealed the Ten Tails inside of himself, right? He sealed it inside of himself. If Code doesn't have the sealing jutsu required to seal the Ten Tails inside of himself, can we expect to see some ulterior option, some ulterior way of Code absorbing the Ten Tails, right? His karma can't absorb chakra, right? He doesn't have the sealing jutsu, or at least we don't think he does. Is it possible that his claw marks will be able to crush the whole Ten Tails and mix it with himself, and his scientific nano body can adapt to the Ten Tails' physical body? Whatever. There's some way to do it, right? Now, if Code is down that path where he is going to become the next Ten Tails Jinchuriki, right? We have somebody who's already stronger than Jigen becoming the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, versing all of Konoha. Like, if he's super calm and cool and collected, and he's not worried about Damon, it's because he knows he's got something up his sleeve. And he immediately went to the Ten Tails, manipulated it, showing that he can control its power. If he needs to be Otsutsuki enough to eat the God Fruit, the first step, I would assume, is to become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, right? Because we know, as a Ten Tails Jinchuriki, you can separate the God Tree from your being. We saw Obito do it, and then remain the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Like, Obito, as the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, just shot out the God Tree. We saw him do it, and then he put a barrier around. We all saw it happen, okay? Now, if this is Code's plan, become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki so it can, like, ignite his karma or something to make him Otsutsuki enough to eat that God Fruit, then it would be a brilliant way to fix that underlying plot hole of how can we have people like Orochimaru say, not just any ordinary person can go and eat the God Fruit, like the God Tree itself will deny you and eat you. Like, if you're an ordinary person, the God Tree sees you as food, as sustenance. It will absorb all your chakra and all your life energy, and you will die. But if you are the chosen one, and that fruit is ready to, like, blossom, I guess, or whatever, drop, it'll give you the fruit. Like, we saw Kaguya command the tree, and it gave her the fruit, and then she was able to control the tree after that. Code needs something, right? Konoha needs something. So, with this part of the chapter being explained, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Code is walking down the path of becoming the next Ten Tails Jinchuriki, or manipulating the Ten Tails in some way where he can use its power, being some sort of pseudo Jinchuriki? Do you think he needs to do something in order to become Otsutsuki enough to eat the God Fruit? And then finally, with the current threat being literally numerous beings, literally the current threat are numerous characters that are above Jigen tier, right? Remember, Jigen is a character that stomped Naruto and Sasuke, right? So if the threat are numerous characters that are above that level of power, right? And they all use scientific ninja tools to enhance their strength, do you think we should have Naruto and Sasuke use scientific ninja tools more? Like, do you think they should add more scientific ninja tools to their current arsenal, to their current fighting style, in order to fight fire with fire, right? Like, as it stands right now, Code is pretty much set to invade Konoha with an army of 10-tailed foot soldiers enhanced with his black claw mark scientific ninja tool, right? So they're going to go in, they're probably stronger than they were before, and now they can phase through the claw marks just like Code, right? Imagine a whole army of 10-tailed minions that can do what Code can do and fight how Code wants them to fight. This could actually end up being the end of Konoha. This is why Momoshiki says what he says. But like I said, we're going to break down this chapter step by step, so let me know how you guys were thinking the ending of the chapter kicked off. In the next video, we're basically going to break down Amado and his role in this chapter and everything with Ida and Damon and Shikamaru and everybody. And then after that, we'll handle Boruto and his conversation with Momoshiki and Himawari and all that goodness. But you got to subscribe so you don't miss out for that action. Go ahead, leave a like, and comment down below what you think Code's plans are and how he'll become Otsutsuki enough to eat the fruit. And like I said, man, I'm your man's the Grass Ninja, signing off. Peace.